What's up, fantasy managers? The NFL draft was crazy, but through the craziness, there were winners and losers from a fantasy perspective. This information here will get you back into the fantasy football mindset and a step ahead of your league mates. I know you're interested, stick around for 7 seconds. From this episode, you will learn how 8 draft picks impacted the fantasy football world. I have 4 winners, I have 4 losers. Let's get into my notes right now. And our first winner is obvious. It's running back Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders. In 2024, the Raiders offensive line was ranked 23rd, 22nd in run block win rate, and 21st in rushing yards before contact per attempt at 0.85. In 2024, Raiders running back Alexander Mattison only had 420 yards. Raiders leading rusher, but he is now gone. Zamir White had 183 yards, and Amir Abdullah only had 311 yards. No rushers over 500 yards. The Raiders' season total of 1,357 rushing yards last year ranked dead last. Ashton Jeanty had 2,595 rushing yards last season, which doubles Raiders' rushing total. Pete Carroll is the Raiders' new head coach, and when he coached in Seattle and had Marshawn Lynch as his running back, it went pretty good. Lynch's first full year in 2011 with Pete Carroll through 2014 for his last year with at least 15 games played, he averaged over 16 points per game each season, with over 300 rushing attempts in 2012 and 2013. Chip Kelly is the new offensive coordinator for the Raiders. LaShawn McCoy, when Chip Kelly was his head coach, he led the league in rushing with 1,600 yards and 2,100 scrimmage yards. He averaged 20 points a game. Even when he was the head coach for San Francisco 49ers in 2016, which I completely forgot, he had an 11-year running back Frank Gore finish in the top 12. Jeanty, being a top 6 pick, has the draft capital to earn 350 touches with no competition. Even with the Raiders' bad offensive line, Jeanty averaged a .40 missed tackles forced per attempt and 5.25 yards after contact per attempt. He will get an immense number of carries. He'll break tackles, get at least 1,300 yards, and he'll be so fun to watch. He is probably the safest pick in this draft. My number 2 winner is wide receiver Ted McMillan going to the Carolina Panthers, because the Carolina Panthers, their number 1 wide receiver is up for grabs. And chances that McMillan, the 8th overall pick, to be the number 1 wide receiver for that team is very high. Adam Thielen was the leading receiver with 615 yards, and he turns 35 in August. Number 2 was rookie Xavier Legette, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not really impressive. And the 3rd is an undrafted free agent Jalen Coker with 478 yards. Not the toughest competition, especially at the X spot where McMillan will start. And Bryce Young looked good at the end of the year. Weeks 12 through 18, he was quarterback 9 at points per game. He had 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, averaging close to 230 yards during that span. We all want number 1 wide receivers for our fantasy teams, and McMillan has the best opportunity to become the wide receiver 1, and likely, you can pick him up later. With the Panthers receiving core being underwhelming, McMillan can see Marvin Harrison Jr. numbers, 62, 885, and 8, but you could draft him after the 2nd or 3rd round. And next up, my number 3, Caleb Williams. Williams was 21st in points per game last season, ranked 28th in completion percentage, and only had 20 touchdowns, and the dude was sacked 68 times. Bears drafted tight end Colston Loveland from Michigan, 10th overall. He has big play ability and an instant starter. He was a top 2 tight end entering this draft. Second round, they drafted Luther Burden from Missouri, a raw talent that hasn't hit his potential. After the catch, he is a beast, which is one of his major strengths. An explosive slot receiver. Slot receiver, easy PPR points. Keenan Allen had 121 targets and 240 yards after the catch in the slot for the Bears last season. Burden will not have 121 targets, but he will have more than 240 yards after the catch. Then later in the 2nd round, the Bears select tackle Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College with the 56th pick, a 6'8", 315-pounder who could be a starter in the day 1. The guy is huge, like picture Captain Insano in a Bears jersey. He only gave up 2 sacks in the last 2 seasons at Boston College. Caleb Williams will have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze in his 2nd year, top 10 draft pick tight end Colston Loveland, a 2nd round wide receiver Luther Burden in the slot, who I think has the potential to be the top scoring rookie wide receiver in 2025, and his 6'8" tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, to go along with their offensive line signed in the offseason. Head coach Ben Johnson has put in a lot of effort into making Williams elite. And my last winner's got to be CJ Stroud, another quarterback. Stroud actually dropped to 13 points per game last season. Actually, everything dropped: touchdowns, passing yards, and yards per attempt. Then the Texans go and pick up Jaden Higgins in the second round from Iowa State, a 6'4 receiver who ran a 4.47 40. In 2024, he had 87 receptions, 1,183 yards with 9 touchdowns. He has a wingspan of 6 feet 7 inches. Just lob it to this guy. Daniel Jeremiah, when he talks, you listen. His comparison is Nico Collins. So, yeah. The Texans had the worst offensive line last year. They gave up 52 sacks. So they move up to the 48th pick to draft tackle Ariante Isri, 6'6", 331 pounds. This dude moves like he's 250 and 6'3". This guy's a total anchor. But the Texans feel Stroud can use even more help, so they drafted Jaden Higgins' teammate, Jalen Noel. 81 receptions, 1,194 yards, and 8 touchdowns last season with Higgins on the other side of the field. He ran a 4.39 and plays the slot, elite explosiveness, and great ball tracking. I read Tank Dell might miss most of the season according to Sports Illustrated, but they added a speedster slot receiver, another Nico Collins, according to DJ, and an anchor offensive line. Stroud's points per game will improve. And if you made it this far and enjoy the information I'm providing, then please hit the likes and subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers before training camp, and we're almost there. Anything goes a long way, and we appreciate all you zoners. And now we went over the good, but you can't have the good without the bad. So now we're going to go over the losers. And the first loser I got to talk about, the one that popped out the most, is Emeka Egbuka when he got drafted by the Buccaneers. They picked him at the 19th spot, and that definitely puts a barrier for his fantasy potential. Buccaneers signed Chris Godwin this offseason, bringing him back, and he is ahead of schedule from his season-ending injury. Godwin was wide receiver 1 before his injury. He earned 50 receptions for 576 yards and 5 touchdowns in 6.5 games. They also have Mike Evans, who will be 32 at the start of the season, but will put up decent numbers. Then, Jalen McMillan went nuclear the last 5 games, averaging 19 points a game and 7 touchdowns during that span. Now, there is too many mouths to feed, including Bucky and White, in the passing game. Egbuka is primarily a slot receiver. If he needs to play outside, he'll be even less effective. Baker will need to throw 55 touchdowns and 5,500 pass yards to make him irrelevant. This is a very disappointing pick. And this next one is somebody who I was eyeing for once I heard he went to this team. It's got to be Najee Harris is my second loser. This is a loser post, but a winner post at the same time. Jim Harbaugh in the past reported that he likes Najee Harris. He likes his running style. So he went and signed him in the offseason to a 1-year, $9.25 million with incentives. And Chargers ran the ball 47% of the time. That's 9th highest in the league. Chargers have an average offensive line and rank 13th in run block win rate, but 27th in rushing yards before contact. That usually means it's the running back's problem and not the offensive line. So what do? They let go of J.K. Dobbins. They bring in Harris, who is a bell cow and has never missed a game and had no competition without J.K. Dobbins there. But with the 22nd pick, the Chargers select arguably the second best running back in the draft, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, who rushed for 1,500 yards in back-to-back seasons and 33 total touchdowns in 2 seasons. He ran a 4.46 at 6 feet, 221 pounds. That's a speed score in the 94th percentile. He has elite explosiveness for his size, an average of .26 missed tackles force per attempt and 4.35 yards after contact. He is also a 3-down back and has the draft capital. The chances of Harris getting 275 rushing attempts is over. It's out the window. It's gone. And now the starting role for him is in jeopardy. When it comes to draft time, I'm going to invest more into Hampton instead of Harris now. Now, since we were talking about an ex-Steeler, I want to talk about a current Steeler who's on this loser list, and it's Jaylen Warren. You know, Najee Harris went to free agency and left Jaylen Warren as a starter with only Kenneth Gainwell as the backup. They drafted Caleb Johnson from Iowa with the 83rd pick. He's 6 foot, 225 pounds. He's more of a bruiser running back than a speedster. His 4.57 put him in the 56th percentile. But he is good at missed tackles force per attempt at .28 and has a 4.4 yards after contact. 1,060 of his 1,535 rushing yards came after contact. That is the 6th most last year. It's almost another Najee Harris type of running back, but his comparison is a slower James Conner. So this won't be a 50-50 split because Johnson isn't known for his receiving, and Warren is a good receiving back. Warren averaged 8 rushing attempts last season, which will increase to 13 to 15 attempts in 2025. But seeing Jaylen Warren get 225 attempts is now out the window. Johnson is now the ultimate handcuff. And now for the last guy I want to talk about, the last loser is a tight end, Tyler Warren for the Colts. I can't remember the Colts tight end from last year, but I'll remember Tyler Warren, who they drafted 14th overall from Penn State, second tight end taken in the draft. The last 2 years, a rookie tight end has been tight end 1 at the end of the year. I was aiming for Tyler Warren this year because he is an instant starter, dynamic player. He could catch, throw, and run the ball. He had 104 receptions, 1,233 yards, and 8 touchdowns, 11 total touchdowns last year. 30% dominator puts him in the 90th percentile for tight ends. Definitely a tight end I was targeting late, but now not so much, but it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Anthony Richardson completion percentage at 2024 was 47.7%, 11.3% under expectation. That is the worst in the league. It means he should have 58% of a completion percentage, but he couldn't make the throws catchable that were right there in front of him. He was first in air yards per attempt at 12.2. He generally is looking downfield past the tight end routes, so he's not looking at tight ends. I don't know, though. That might change this upcoming year. Backup quarterback is Daniel Jones. Not much better, but he did target Darren Waller when they played together for the Giants. Richardson, though, he is working with Chris Hees, a biomechanic expert who worked with Josh Allen. I need to see some training camp footage before changing my mind about Anthony Richardson, though, because he was that bad. All right, that's a wrap. Thank God, because I got some teriyaki chicken with pineapple fried rice waiting for me. I'm starving. Take the information from this video and use it to begin your research for your league. Every Friday, we do a live video and talk football. Come in and say what's up. We'll be there. We also have a Discord. If you want to talk football daily, come find us at Discord at the Fantasy Red Zone. I appreciate you watching this video. Deuces.